I think that the way that things are set up right now, if you've got a cause and you can get people to kind of cry for you, then they will. So people are sympathetic and trying to be understanding for a lot of different things. But obviously something as serious as that, it's going to hold natural weight, as it should. But when looked at properly, I ain't heard about it. So I wanted to ask how far are these allegations
So what kind of
Is she
things?
just brought it to the? Are they just bringing it to the social media or whatever and chatting about it, or they go to police? What the police saying? You know what I'm saying? Is there any fact to this?
This is what I think people are trying to work out. I think like a lot of, from what I've heard on Spaces, it's like you're on trial. Everybody is the prosecutor in there, or I don't know if you've got. I think a couple of men trying to act as barristers. It wasn't really working out from what I was saying. Like it was always getting stressful. Barristers were almost being on trial as well because people were like, "Are you backing it? Are you trying to go? Like, are you condoning any of this behaviour?" And like people have to really separate themselves.
So for the viewers, are the allegations mostly like rape?
I've been hearing some things like
Domestic
gang rape,
violence.
domestic violence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paedophilia?
I haven't really heard that. Only Westwood, isn't it? That's what I heard.
I don't know if these two was an age thing. I think
People talking about underage, like
Yeah,
young
I
girls.
think it's
Maybe
more-
not underage, but young.
I don't think I'm against the platform, actually, for people to speak up and say what may or may not have happened. What's the worst that can happen with a platform? Like you said, there are no police. There's no police involved. Point is, there's no one's had any charges pressed yet, have they?
Not
Or
yet.
police
I don't know
involved.
actually.
Yeah, let me finish. So, if it's a platform for victims to, like, well, I've got 300 followers. If someone wants to come and talk under my comments and whatnot, and I'm talking about people or naming names that are in the public eye, that's up to me. These people are in the public, so they must know whatever they do can come back and will be blasted out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a, I don't know, it's a 50-50 for me. You're going to have people that are wrongly accused, and you're going to have victims that actually need somewhere to say what they've been through. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm not against that at all.
I think the discipline is on the actual viewer to know that this is an accusation at this point. Like more investigation might need to go into
That's
this.
the issue.
The discipline needs to come. But some
I think
people in the
that's
comments ain't
and I
got
think
that. It's
within the last couple of instances where this has been happening, people say, let's bring it to Spaces now so we can actually not just believe what people are saying and counsel them, let's actually get the people on. So they're trying to get people on that have been accused of things and trying to get them to speak for themselves. This is what's happening
She's giving
now.
people a chance to, no, this ain't what.
No, she didn't. That was like other people. the scene were giving those individuals a chance to come up and speak because not even a chance. They summons them to come on like you're gonna have to come on Spaces. This is accusations about you, and everybody wants to talk to you
There
about
was a
it.
case where I think she went after someone's dad or stepdad
Yeah,
or
Vincent
something.
Bratt.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah, it's not Vincent.
Okay.
No, we know.
Okay. But yeah, like I thought she tried to speak. To
Okay,
him.
so I think
Did
she
she?
spoke to all of the people that she's gonna put
Oh,
out.
so she is speaking to them.
Yeah, but not on Spaces. This is like phone conversation.
Oh,
So she let
okay.
you know, like, yo, we've heard some information.
Okay.
We're
Do you
gonna-
think that's
It's quite
not good
courteous.
enough?
Sounds like.
not a good process?
Yeah, I think that's good. Rather than her just
Yeah.
slandering, she's judging it for herself. It's based on her judgment, but at least she's doing it.
Yeah.
It sounds like a courtesy call. Like I'm gonna blow up your, blow up your page. Like, so just know.
Just know what's coming your way. Like, yeah.
Rochi, we've heard that. So yeah.
Good.
Right.
Get me on the Spaces. Bang me. Yeah, it's happening, and I guess like looking at. They definitely can't make no excuses for any behaviour that happens behind closed doors. But looking at arting, at the black community, and how much childhood trauma, all the stuff we're going through, and how it's coming out in the house, in relationships, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, now it's being brought out here. Like, yo, you done this to someone back in the days. You hurt someone. You slapped someone. In the relationship, you were toxic. You beat people up or whatever, which is wrong. All wrong. It's coming out now, and people don't want context. People don't want to know what you were going through. Was it mental health?
Yeah.
Was you?
But is that not us holding ourselves accountable? I know, like people
is.
will say, "Okay, police, the system is this, da 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 da." But where do we hold ourselves accountable? No, but I'm saying as a community,
It's
like,
the people's court.
That's what
the
I'm talking
community's
about.
taking
That's
the
what I'm
support
talking
again. I
about.
think that's
Like,
a good thing.
Nah, man.
But everyone's heads all
I
over
think
the
the
place.
baddest part-
We haven't got the right types of people.
You need to be qualified.
It's the
You need to be
it's social
qualified
media.
to hold council.
Social media.
Social media is the
100%.
problem.
So instead of us putting all of our energy into white people's politics, we focus on our politics, and we, the people in right minds, put the right people in power.
What I think is the problem is social media, because somebody's account is their vote, and everyone's vote ain't kind of equal. But when you're in an environment where people are around and an elder speaks up, everyone knows this is the elder to listen to. Everyone might sense this elder's a bit of a jackass. We don't really listen to this elder. You know what I mean? If literally we was here and there was a family of families.
it starts
and
locally. Basically.
It starts local.
It starts
And what,
locally.
you've got domestic violence going on in your yard,
But
and
that
you've got to
ain't
walk out in
happening.
your street.
You see daddy doing it, mommy doing this, oh my friends do it, oh it's cool, it's all funny, oh we did this to that chick, remember that time, it's all laugh, it's all
But
fun and jokes.
That's
Do
where
you see
the
what
stuff
I mean?
we learn comes into play. If people don't learn the conditions that has been set up, so for instance,
Then you
the
lose all of it.
concepts of where did you get this stuff from? Even if it is fucked as it is, whatever it is, murder, all this stuff. Where did we get it from? Where did it come from? The source. That's what we've been learning about. Then you have to, because what we're doing is it's just court of public opinion, whatever it is. Yes, there's people that should be held accountable, but there's like a lack of compassion as to like,
See?
what the fuck has happened.
Do you know
This
what
is
would
what
make
it
it
is.
easier, right?
Mm.
What would make it easier, and this is something that we have to kind of deal with. We must know that we've been conditioned to move a certain way, number one. So what you have to say is we ultimately are not responsible for the programming that we've got, right? So if we are acting out on the program, right, that's still not us. That's still not us, because give us a sound mind and we're a sound people, right? So when people do start doing these acts, these foul acts, these disgraceful acts, council has to know, oh shit, the conditioning got you doing that. With that, there's a level of empathy that one has to have, because just because everyone else hasn't acted out, that doesn't mean that your sickness is worse than their sickness. You have just acted out in a different way.
Meanwhile, what are we doing for the victim?
What I'm saying is that there's levels. So there's the perpetrator, the victim. Who's more important? Because really and truly, they are both victims of the system. The both of them. This is what we can do because we've actually taken into account everything that's happened. No one ain't doing that.
That's not happening.
No one ain't doing that.
It's
like-
No one's not doing that.
And we-
As he said, no one is going back to the source
So-
and saying, wait a minute, you're both victims of this thing and you've acted out and done this because of A, B, C, D, and E. This is what we can do. If you don't go back to the source, then you're going to be fighting for
We're gonna
scraps,
scrap.
bro.
100%. But you know what, Anne? One thing I want to say: does there ever become a time like? Because I think some of these things that are happening or being spoke about happened over a decade ago for some people, but some things are happened more recently.
Sometimes people
So
need
people-
to learn from their consequences.
Yes, 100%.
That's it.
Does there become a time in life where it doesn't matter about now the trauma and all the stuff we've been through as a race?
Everything matters, bro.
There should be.
Everything matters.
Is there a time where we must be held accountable? Because no,
Yes.
you're 35 now.
I
We're sorry.
think
We're
so.
not gonna go. We're not gonna do
No
that.
one's
until
not
we talk about
saying-
racism.
Bro,
You are
bro,
you're always
bro,
accountable for your
bro,
own actions. I
bro,
don't care.
We're responsible
Bro,
for
you
ourselves.
Yeah.
Bro,
100%.
I am
100%, but I think when you're young, like 20, 21, 19,
You
I
can get
think it's
wrapped
a
up
bit-
and
it's a bit different because
maybe
of-
some lenience should be shown.
There
Me talking
there
about
can
cancer.
always be reasons, but you have
Yeah,
choice.
that's-
It's a sugar.
me
So where was-
talking about
They want.
me talking about council, yeah, is me talking about being held accountable by the right people. So accountability, of course, that comes in, but it goes without saying when there's council, the right council, because they are gonna hold you accountable for what you've done. Accountability always comes in, but are we actually looking at it for what it actually is?
And my thing is this: reparations. Have the council got the ability to help you both repair? Because you need to repair yourself.
Are they
because you're the
qualified?
victim, and you need to repair to stop becoming a perpetrator in whatever form, right? It's like a knife crime, for instance, or people who stab people, all this stuff. Sometimes some people have killed people or stabbed people out of being a victim of the environment and actually feeling like I haven't got no other option. Now, I've seen situations where man have walked into situations and seen their friend being stabbed, and they have to either fight off the thing and stop their friend potentially being killed, or it's beef, and now they got beef. So it's like the conditions have set a situation where you've got to pick your poison now.
Yeah.
And why would you have to pick your poison if it's going to kill you? It shouldn't be poison. There should be no option of picking poison. But that is what we are in. We're picking poison and we're acting out. When all this stabbing is happening, right?
Yeah.
They will never, ever talk about the conditioning of the person that done that. These youths ain't running around licking down white or Asian people, bro. Why? No one wants to talk about that. They just want to say, oh, he did this and he needs to be held accountable. He wasn't in his right mind. If he was in his right mind, it would be a different story. So what I'm saying is, we don't actually want to look at the difficult part, the why, the how, and who. We just want to hold people accountable. How can you hold a person accountable for something they don't know that their computers being wired to self-destruct, bro? That ain't fair. How is that fair?
So
and then
someone
we got
gang
the
my
court.
daughter. I'm not thinking that. That's all bullshit to me. That's bullshit. To me.
Even in your right mind.
What? Gang rape
There you go.
in their right minds. I don't give a shit. Wipe them
There you
out
go.
then. If they're not in their right mind, there's no use for them.
There you go.
Waste of space.
There you go.
But
There you go.
But I think what you're saying, and it's kind of linked up to what I'm thinking. I think really studying how this has come to be is kind of the highest level of accountability.
The highest.
We have to take accountability.
But we
Yeah.
don't want to do
Ultimately.
that.
For instance, like all of these things that happen in our lifestyle, if we want to attribute it to our history and our present and how we're treated, these are just ideas that come out of somebody else's mind. But they could never work without our cooperation and participation. Knife crime, especially if you're going to talk about the black on black element,
Yes.
that's an okay term to use, can't happen without black people being a part of it.
Yeah.
So we have to take accountability for that, and that means how are people being socialized into a position where they think that stabbing is the right thing to do, and how do we fix people that have been victimized by it and been traumatized, and how do we prioritize healing those people? You know what I'm saying? But you have to look at the whole picture. So like this where we live is a society of societies. You know what I'm saying? There's pockets of people that. I remember I went to Victoria when I was about 15, yeah, and I saw some white people sitting on the floor. And I couldn't believe it. Like, you could see they had money, but they just thought it was cool to sit on the floor. And I remember I see a man come out Oxford Street, fresh white crepe, stepping on them, mashing them up because he don't want them to look good. They man are from a totally different world to me. And in their world, they've got norms and values that are okay in it. There's societies that, for instance, the Caribbean versus African thing was a pocket of something that was happening in my school. I don't think it happened in everyone's schools, you know what I'm saying? So why do these little societies happen? If we're that serious about sorting it out, looking at why these things are happening and stopping it from happening and churning out people. But discipline and making an example and punishment and some sort of retribution for the victim are also important things to talk about as well.
Absolutely.
100%,
Yeah,
100 million
definitely.
percent.
But it's all a part of the process.
It is.
But there's a start and there's an end. What I just said, right, was what I just said. Her response was an honest response, right? But that's the problem. Because if it happens to you, all rationale of what this thing is, I don't give a shit. You did this, it's over. Can we get to the place that we really want to get to if that's where it is?
No, because the mind state that you're asking for is somebody that's very secure in their village. Someone that's secure in the village and secure in you know what I mean, it's going to continue and we want to keep it on the right path. when you're not sure about your village, you just have, when something like that happens, it's fuck everybody, yeah, until I see some justice, yeah, I'm burning this motherfucker down, you know.
The other side is, so especially with like the violence thing, it's really strange that when we're talking about solving issues around violence and people stabbing each other, we never talk to the perpetrators, because they're the ones who are doing it.
Who are the perpetrators though?
That's what, the people who are doing the stabbing, but I know where you're going.
Who are the
with it,
victims? Who are also victims?
But they're victims. But this is what I'm saying. So, but they're the ones who could tap you into that mindset of like, okay, what do we need instead of this? Like, what would you have needed instead?
That's the role of criminology in this society, and I wonder how often are criminologists really consulted about all of the things that are in place that make things happen. They used to talk about a public health approach to dealing with knife crime.
That's right now.
Yeah, but
it's right now. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, but they've been talking about it because they said the model worked in Gambia. It's not Scotland.
Glasgow.
Yeah, but you know it come from Chicago, but it come from Uganda.
Okay.
The whole concept was one doctor that was in Uganda trying to deal with AIDS, and he said they take the same model and the same approach and apply it, and they're going to do that here. So they got this kind of concept of a public health approach. A criminologist is supposed to be able to step in and help to remove some of the stepping stones that create this environment. But I'm not seeing that. I don't see how that is you know what I'm saying? Applied. Do you know how that's applied?
It's not gonna be applied.
I personally think my suspicions, my skepticism based on what I know of our relationship of history is that it's the total opposite. It's gonna be named that, but you know what I'm saying? Like what's it called? Family planning in America. It's to get rid of the family. You understand? So it's gonna be the same sort of thing for me.
How are you gonna have a dysfunctional people, in fact the most dysfunctional people, right, hold council on spaces?
Because they control what is sane and normal. They control. If you act insane or abnormal, then they have decided where the perimeters of that are. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody was to say that they practice voodoo, for instance, they have stepped outside of a spiritual dancing.
What are you saying? Victims shouldn't speak?
Yeah, I think the only dangerous thing is
they absolutely should.
Yeah, I think they should. I think the only dangerous
Not
thing
at all.
with some of this looking at our history and looking at what's happened is that we're sometimes not going to be able to hold people accountable. So we can't. Sometimes we really have to hold some people accountable.
Yes.
We can't just say it's because of the system. Like, because people are saying even with knife crime, like, all right, you can't keep blaming the white man for knife crime. People say we can't keep doing that. We're getting past that stage now. People are saying we're getting past the stage where we can't keep blaming the white man for all of our troubles. Now it's us. People are saying. People are saying now you've got to do something about it.
I'm sure they've said
they've said
everything in motion though.
It's now
Okay, what do you say to that?
The white man step back.
What?
So what are you saying right now?
First of all,
The white man
ain't
step
gonna
back
explode.
now.
let me say what I'm saying with Lee, yeah? First, let me say what I'm saying with Lee. Everybody's story matters. Everyone's story matters. But this is the thing. It's bigger than us. It always has been. We are in a house of lies. A house of lies. We don't want lies.
You see what we understand about the system also,
Yeah.
and the way, because we're approaching this conversation from a totally different place because of what we understand about the system.
I'm on
and the
practical
construct.
level. What
And I get
victims
you.
should do.
And I get you.
Yeah.
We all agree with that. Like, well, I can understand what you're saying, and I agree with some of the stuff you're saying.
I
Not a
agree.
lot of people understand and have read the books and understand what's happening out here. So, and that's what most people on spaces
That's the
they
actual-
don't,
Okay.
and they don't want to know. So if they were to meet an ant and that was trying to give them someone to just quickly break down what's happening out here and how mad
would
it is.
never-
So after we've read
They
10
don't wanna
books,
hear it.
after we've read 10 books, how do we get from where we are to where we need to be?
It starts
And-
locally.
It does start locally, but I also think it starts with holding the people accountable that's doing it. And even if they have to be used as an example to say everybody else, this shit don't run no more.
The consequence.
The consequences have to happen. You understand? That's why a certain man stand around in a circle and stone someone to death for doing certain things. So the whole village knows yeah, pick up a stone, innit? It's you next time if you do that.
Yeah, but then
It sounds
someone
mad.
getting stoned for showing their ankles.
Are you gonna go
And
and
someone's
stone
like,
I know,
they're
that's-
right for that.
What?
So.
Are they going to go and stone the white man?
It's
No,
like-
just based on what Roach said, right? Based on what he said, we got to stop. We haven't even looked at him properly yet, bro.
Nah,
We ain't even held him accountable
Yeah,
yet,
but they
bro.
can't see the
No, wait,
connection.
wait, no,
You're
wait,
connecting it.
wait,
You're connecting something they don't
This
see.
is why,
Yeah,
yeah,
this
that
is
this
what's
is
made
why
the problem
that
in society.
pisses me off, because we haven't even held him accountable properly yet. We're still looking at each other, and obviously with your eyes you can see who's doing it, but I can hear the program before I see it.
Of course.
And them man are on self-destruct, like all of us are, fam. So what? Oh, so you can't actually point at what you don't see. That's what it is. We can't point at what we don't see, because they are sitting comfortable behind their media boards, spinning these narratives. Bro, prime example, Paid in Full. AZ, he wrote the original. He said the original was to absolutely scare the shit out of melanated people to not go there.
Right.
Paid in Full, Damon Dash and Harvey Weinstein's thing, they glamorized it. So everyone else glamorized it. They held Mitch high, Ace high. Even Alpo was held high. Even Alpo, the dirtiest, was held high. Bro, that is conditioning of conditioning. Man said my film wasn't supposed to be that, but they made it that. And this man, when you hear him speak, he's scarred forever. He can't, bro. That's what I'm on. I'm talking about what's behind the surface, bro.
Okay, so they've done their chess move. What's our chess move? And if we make a bad chess move, should we be responsible for the bad chess
We've
move?
been out the game.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what it comes down to. If we're about
We ain't about nothing.
I know.
I'm
Let's
sorry.
not go that
I'm
far.
sorry.
But if we're
We're not about
seriously,
nothing, man.
we're not about. We can't agree on anything.